Welcome to the Ultimate Bloons TD6 strategy series, where I'm going to be showing you strategies for every single tower from the Dart Monkey to the Beast Handler and every single path in between. This will show you how to diversify your setup and get better, along with seeing some stats, tips and tricks, and all of the strategies for every single one of the towers. And although that the series is geared more towards Chimps mode, this will also show you a lot of tips and tricks that apply to the standard game and will allow you to win with a new style.
Today's episode is going to be on the Moab Eliminator, which is the middle path for the bomb. That's going to be along with the Moab Assassin and the Moab Mauler, so let's get right into it. This one's definitely a tower that's near and dear to my heart, so we're going to be starting off with the Moab Mauler, which is a early game Moab, so like round 40 solution, and then the Moab Assassin has a few solutions. You can use it in the mid game to get some extra Moab damage, or it could be used as a late game strategy spam, which you will definitely see later. Very, very cool. And the Moab Eliminator has a lot of uses. It can be used as a late game heavy single target damage tower, Moab damage tower just in general, or a round 100 solution. So we're going to be looking at some Moab Eliminator 2 specifically. So when it comes to the stats, the Moab Mauler, this one is a sad tower. It got its stats absolutely obliterated. A lot of them went up to the Moab Assassin. So you'll see the Moab Assassin has some ceramic damage, a bunch of extra bonuses along with that ability. The ability is actually quite good, although it's very odd that it will now target what the Moab Assassin is targeted to, and usually you want it targeted to strong, but you want the Moab Assassin projectile itself on first. So I'll talk about a little bit of that later. That's going to be same with the Moab Eliminator, but its stats get ramped up. It's not going to get any more benefit against ceramics, but it's really strong with the main attack and the ability against Moabs itself. Plus it has a soaking ability. So now let's take a look at the cross paths. This is a bit strange, so I'm going to get right into it. When you're getting a Moab Mauler or Moab Assassin just to apply it to get more single target damage, you're either going to want to get just no cross path at all, or grab the extra range if you have the money and you kind of want extra range and all of that. Now, this might seem a bit odd because the top path is going to really buff up the stats, and when you do other situations you do get the top path, but it just costs a lot of money. Now, however, if you're going to be getting your Moab Eliminator to be doing like heavy damage, this is a very expensive tower, so getting that heavy bombs and stuff isn't really that much of a price increase compared to the price of the Moab Eliminator itself, which is in contrast to the price of the Moab Mauler with and without the cross. I'm going now for the primary mentoring because you're going to be getting these upgrades for free. It's not going to cost you anything, so you might as well get the 140. I'd still get the 250 for the Moab Eliminator. So the Maulers and Assassins with the primary mentoring would be a 130 or 140, and then when you get primary expertise, the second upgrade becomes free, which is where you then can get 230 and 240. This will increase, give a pretty good increase to the stats and damage of your Moab Maulers and stuff, but it's only worth it when the upgrades are free. These are very expensive cross paths to buy, so if you just have a lone Mauler, you shouldn't get it, but if you have primary mentoring, 140, and primary expertise, 240. And then the applied Maulers for mid game and early game, they don't really need buffs, so we aren't really going to be buffing. You can just have an 030 or an 032 just dealing some extra Moab damage. But when we get to the assassin spam, or we're going to be having several bombs, a primary mentoring is definitely going to be worth it, because we're going to need a lot of these extra stats, the more pierce, more damage, to be taking out larger waves of Bloons, and it's going to make all of these guys a lot cheaper. So when we bring into a spam, we're going to introduce the primary mentoring, and that's kind of the support that you'd have to get it. And then you can go a step even further and bring in the primary expertise. We'll see that later. But for the Moab Eliminator, if you're getting just one of them alone, it usually is worth it to get the primary mentoring. And if you're going to be using it to deal more damage with the main attack, if you have the money, not always though, you don't need it, a Berserker Brew could help a lot. The primary mentoring decreases the cooldown ability, which is good for the Moab Eliminator ability and all of that. Now the primary expertise, as I mentioned before, is great for the assassin spam. If you're going to be doing a full spam, you definitely want to pick up the primary expertise because it benefits it so much. It gives it some ceramic cleanup, which is very good, but it also will increase like the range and give you the free upgrades, which is definitely needed. And then on the maps that this works, an applied Moab for mid-game could really work anywhere, that's fine. But the assassin spam has an interesting quirk, and that's that it's modular, which makes some tricky maps very easy. You can get one primary mentoring and then another on another side and kind of fill in this little pocket of maulers and all that stuff. And on some tricky maps like Pat's Pond, you can get this to work pretty well. And when it comes to the heroes, you're definitely going to be wanting Striker Jones for your spam. But if you're doing just like a single Moab Eliminator or a mauler or stuff like that, the hero doesn't really matter. It's going to be based on your main strategy. So let's start getting into some strategies. So the first example here, it's going to be a assassin spam. And I'm going to be doing this on another brick, pretty easy map. It's going to be very simple, and the late game is going to be totally free just because we're going to have like way more power. Now, you can't really start off with bombs when you're doing like a strategy involving bombs. So I'm going to get a bit of a early game carry. I'm just going to grab some intel, a sub. I'm going to get that up to a triple guns and all of that. Depending on the ease of the map, you can start pushing into your cluster bomb earlier or later. Sometimes you'll need to like alk buff this triple guns, maybe get an APD, and you can work on your cluster bombs. But basically you're going to be doing that until you can go into the cluster bombs for the early game. When we're using Striker Jones, we're going to be using the cluster bombs for not only the early game, but for the mid game too, catching all the ceramics. And typically we'll just do 2 cluster bombs, not upgrade them to recursive. They're going to be doing very well, have enough pierce to take out the ceramic waves. If you're doing a modular thing, to have like a cluster on each side, and usually a balloon impact there too would be enough to get the rest for each side. But just all of that, we'll grab a mauler for round 40 and then use the Jones ability to stun the ceramics on the inside. That will allow the one cluster to clean it all up, and the mauler will be taking out the Moab layer itself. One thing about the strategy is that you're going to be wanting to do a lot with villages. Being greedy with the villages is pretty big. Now, if you can't greed out the villages, you don't have to. You can take your time a little bit, but generally you want to get a discount and primary mentoring up. Now, the thing is that you don't want to get primary mentoring with the discount because you need the range on the camo and all of that. Because there's so many towers, this is a spam strategy, so you're going to want to have camo affecting a larger area. So I typically just recommend getting a 520 village, and then you can have a discount or 2. I decided to get 2 discounts. Sometimes you might only just need to get 1 discount, and I can start building into things. We're going to have our free upgrades, so we can upgrade into 130 now. Just remember, for that mauler that you bought on round 40, you didn't crosspath that because you shouldn't have, and now you can go back and get the crosspath. I'm going to get a balloon impact for the back, another cluster bomb, and then we're going to be grabbing just a few assassins. We don't want to stop spending relatively early on so that I can afford primary expertise before some harder rounds come in. Typically I'm going to want to get it in the late 70s. Just get it before the super ceramics come in, and then you should be fine. Once the super ceramics come in, your cluster bomb is no longer really going to be able to support all of those ceramics, and balloon impact would eventually get overrun if it wasn't for the giant ballista. So I get my few assassins up. You can also use your abilities in the mid game. You have your assassin abilities and your level 10 that will recharge all of that, and the concussive shell, that's very useful too. I don't use it here because I don't have to, but on round 63 the Striker Jones concussive shell ability is perfect in length so that you can use it exactly on every single ceramic rush, which is actually very useful. So if you use it like a little bit before it will hit your towers, you can stun everything, and then your towers can like pick apart the waves at a time. So I'm going to be able to get my primary expertise here now, and now I'm going to grab drums on one of the discounts so that the primary expertise shoots faster because its drums can't buff itself. And then I'm going to go for all those crosspaths that I missed out, so upgrading those bombs from 140 to then 240. Grab glue in there, just relentless glue, put that on strong, and now I'm just going to grab a bunch more assassins, and we have a pretty easy time. One thing to note is that TDTs could still be a little bit of an issue, so Sabo is probably good enough for that. Just around 99 in particular. Usually you can like spam your abilities to get through first half of 95 and then Sabo the second half of 95, and then just have your Sabo up for 99. So that's pretty easy. The big waves are pretty easy. They're slow and you just have enough of these maulers to just chew through it. You really can spam your abilities a lot besides level 10. You need to note that the level 10, it does double the damage when it reaches level 20, but it has a long cooldown, so you can't spam that. But you can spam your assassins and you can spam your concussive shell. The primary expertise gives a really good cooldown bonus, so you can just constantly be using them. I ended up getting Arctic Wind just for some more ceramic cleanup just in case that wasn't really needed. Usually you'll either have that or like a spiked balls to clean up some stuff. In this case I just got the Arctic Wind, but the spiked balls is probably a better option generally, as you can see on my Sabo there, but nothing's getting through. I just have so much damage. And then for round 100, if you save a bunch of your abilities and you have your level 20, you can just beat up round 100 by using your assassins, using level 20, and then using your assassins again. That's generally good enough. I didn't really keep a whole lot of my assassins on deck for round 100, so you can see round 100 gets a little close. Well, it was, my level 20 was kind of down, so it did get a little bit close. If that's the case and your level 20 might not be up, you could go for just an eliminator or first strike, but I had so much money left over, it wasn't that much of an issue. Very, very powerful if you can do it right. Now let's take a look at the next use, and that's just going to be inserting the Moab Mauler into round 40. If you ever need a bit of Moab damage on round 40, one Moab Mauler could fix that. Just like this example, it's really easy, nothing too much, nothing too complicated there, just does good Moab damage. So if you have a setup on Chimps, that really isn't going to get your Moab damage up like this for a while, where I'm going to be getting my Bloon Solver and my, what is that, the Century Champion. We don't have any good Moab damage yet, so that one Moab Mauler will be able to cover that for the meantime. So very simple there. Now let's go into the next example, which is using the Moab Assassin for mid-game. So such as you could use the Moab Mauler for the early game, you can also just use the Moab Assassin for some mid-game damage. So if I need some Moab damage to be able to take out some of these harder waves saving up into this Apache dart ship, I can just grab that, and you're going to really cover my issues for round 60, round 62, all of that sorts. You can grab the range if you need it. I don't have a primary mention because I'm not getting a whole lot of these guys, so it's not going to be worth it to get the top path, as you'd have to pay for that. So I could either just go 040 or 032. When it was for that Moab Mauler example, I just got 030 because that's really all I needed and I didn't have to spend money. Here I'll pay a little bit extra to get some more damage, and that's really going to deal with it. Because of the soak, as you saw, I was able to just one-shot that BFB, definitely put a lot of pressure off of me. And now for the last one, which is the Moab Eliminator, inserting that into the late game. I'm out of that same example from before actually. I had my Moab Mauler there, so I just upgraded to Moab Eliminator. I'm going to get that free upgrade, and then I'm going to just get some other support. I'm going to set that on strong because I have my one lone Moab Eliminator. I'm going to be wanting this guy to take out particularly the ZOMGs. In setups where you don't have like a crazy amount of cleanup and you're just like lacking just some single target damage, it's probably going to be best to have your Moab Eliminator set on first, and then every time you use the ability, set it back to strong, use the ability, set it back to first. I know it's a lot, but that will allow your Moab Eliminator to be using the ability on the ZMGs without creating a massive Moab rush. In this case, I don't really have to worry about that because Bloons Solver has a very good cleanup, will deal with the cleanup very well, so I can just keep this guy in strong. But if you don't have the greatest cleanup, that might be to your detrimental, that might lead to a detrimental effect if you keep the Moab Eliminator on strong. So just keeping that in mind. We got our support up, and we're going to be also using this guy to take out round 100 for us. Not the greatest round 100 damage here, but with the Moab Eliminator, we will be able to take it out. So that's kind of a way that you could use the Moab Eliminator and put it in. The only thing is that in this case, I would have bought the 240 upgrade. That's something that I guess out of habit I didn't do, but that would have some good effects. It'd do a little more damage on 98 and stuff like that. Because the Moab Eliminator is more expensive, it will be getting more benefit price-wise out of that. Now for my last example, this is a bit of a fun one. This used to actually be the meta mauler spam on quad chimps, so this is quad chimps. It's not the meta anymore. You might still be able to get it to work with a lot of tweaking. This unfortunately wasn't quite a black border on my first try, but it probably will still work. It's just that there's been a lot of nerfs, and as you get really your power out of the assassins, this strategy may not really hold up the best because you can't really get your assassins up until later. So it kind of still works, but definitely not as good as it used to. So I'm just going for it. And also there's a lot of discount greeting going on here, and I probably didn't even do the best job with that, which maybe would have helped more. Other than this kind of showing off the potential of the modular setup, I guess I put this in as a little bit of bias because I wanted to show some fun, cool strategy and history with the Moab Mauler, formerly Moab Mauler spam, as it definitely is one near and dear to my heart. As you can see from my profile picture, I kind of started up this channel back when this thing was like the meta and everybody was using it, and a lot of my first videos, which I actually deleted, which I highly regret. I did not private them. I deleted them. A lot of my first videos were deleted, but they used a lot of this guy. And in fact, actually, if you didn't know, my first video was a Monkey Meadow guide that did not work. You kind of just died on 98 about 2/3 of the time if you tried to follow it. But yeah, unfortunately, all those videos are gone. Wish I could have them back. But I think that leaves a bunch of the race videos, the first ones that didn't get deleted because they're like race and chimps videos, and I deleted the first chimps guides. But yeah, anyways, really cool strategy, brings back some memories, still very effective, maybe not as effective as before, but as you saw on the what was it, another brick one, just a lot of power if you can do it right, and it will still hold up even on the harder maps decently well. It maybe takes a little bit of like skill to pull off because you need to be good with like the villages and all of that, but it's not a weak combination. It's still able to knock out quad with some decent ease. Maybe put some little work and tweaking into this and you could get a black border. But yeah, very cool strategy. Definitely recommend it for more reasons than it's just strong. And that's pretty much it here. Now, before I head out, I do want to post this one thing, because I had channel members, I guess, for a while, but I never really had anybody join it, and it's not like that's a bad thing. I'm not like telling you to join, but I wanted to maybe do a little more with it. So as I make like episodes of these series, they get scheduled out in the scheduling queue and all of that, but I can set them out to like come for channel members first. So if you want to see that and if you want to support the channel, that would be great help and all. And I set it to be like as cheap as possible, which is 99 cents for a month. So it's not like it's going to be crazy amount, and you'll just get a cool benefit and help me out. So if you want to do that, that would be pretty cool. Thanks and bye.
Thanks for watching. If you want to help out the channel, you can check out these new videos, like and subscribe for more content, support the channel by becoming a member, and joining the Discord to chat with the community. Bye!